So we thank him for his initiatives with time. And thank you, Harshvi. And over to you, not taking much of you guys' time, and we try and make this session interactive. Harshvi will be going through his story, and later on we open the floor for Q&A and some questions and answers. A great opportunity for all those who are at the stage of being mentored. We have Harshvi there to do a chat. So I'll start. Thank you. Yes.
Any one or two volunteers who would like to mention if they are looking for something particular? Or we just get the ball rolling and...
You can start with your story and then we'll pitch in with questions if that's okay.
One reason why I joined TAI was that unlike many other organizations, TAI advocates mentorship and networking to the extent that the people who started TAI, they said, as far as we know, you can give your first proposal in your first meeting with anyone in TAI. So it's so open about your business promotion and networking, unlike some of the other organizations that I am part of. For example, Rotary, Chandigarh Management Association, or some of the old school association, or British Library. If you meet some other member and you talk about your business, or he talks about his business, he says, "What are we doing here? Forget it, I am here to get the books." You know? So, or in some other organization, when somebody talks about his business as promotion, it's difficult for others to tolerate it, mentioning that we are not here for your business here. Unlike that, it's very clear in TAI's mandate that if I seek business from any other person in TAI meeting, it is very healthy. Talking about mentorship, I would probably start with that I think all of us do recognize the importance of mentor in everyone's life. At some point or the other, whether you needed it or not, probably a mentor came your way, whether it was in your school, a teacher, or a coach, your father, your mother, your relative, your elder brother, your friend's uncle, somebody who saw something in you, or you were seeking, or you were confused, and the person came along and you realized that that was the time I probably got into the right lane. I'll take that particular turning point in my life when, having had a reappear in my physics honors of computers, I had swore to myself that I'm not going to touch IT, computers, or software in my life. Of course, I had to study hell of a lot away from my parents' eyes to clear that reappear. But my decision was made. Computers is the last thing in my scope of things as life goes on. So, end of physics honors, Punjab University, and also long time back, somehow this thing, MBA, had fascination for me. So I picked up every brochure in this world and started appearing for MBA in Ranchi, Jaipur, Shimla, left, right, center, wherever I could think of. And one day my father says, he retired as a brigadier from the army. So he would always encourage me to seek guidance from everywhere I could think of. Because he said, I'm not a well-read person. Though of course, he did all his long defense management course, and he was instructor and whatnot, but then he would say that professionally speaking, there are many other fields besides what we did in army. So one day I come home and he says, "Is there a course called MCA?" So the world just became busy. How come he came to know about MCA? So it so happens that one of his very close friend's son was visiting his friend who was our neighbor and came to pay his respects to my father. A DAV college topper, ultimately became my roommate and one of my best friends. So, toppers. So my father says if he's doing something, it's got to be right. So he's doing something called MCA, 7-8 institutes all across India, because there were only 7-8 institutes in 87 of them. So if he's doing that, why don't you try? The reason I still remember I gave my father why I don't want to do MCA, that an MCA entrance form costs $100 and an MBA entrance form costs $25. So I can appear for 4 MBA entrance examination. So he also thought it was a very stupid and funny answer. He said, okay, I'll fund it. And he was anyways funding all the other, why don't you talk to him? So, though always eager to bunk classes in university, that day I thought I was doing a major bad thing in my life by bunking one of the important classes and going to DAV college to consult him. So I cursed him. He was suffering from 102-degree temperature at that time. But in spite of that, I cursed him for coming to my home. And then he says that, this is this. So fine. I got the entrance examination form. God helping me, it turned out to be an engineering entrance examination form. So I said, I am safe. Who got it for me? An acquaintance was going to turn into a very good friend of mine during my course in Khapar. And currently he also happens to be the president of I chapter, Puneet Vatsayan. So in 87, he was already in engineering college in Khapar. So since we were acquainted, he got the form. We had good mutual friends. I said, God has saved me. But then my father insisted and the right form was again sent by him. And it was deposited 10 minutes before the last time, 3 o'clock, by a personal friend of dad in Khapar College. Form jama karne se kya hota hai? I was concentrating on all the MBAs in the world, appearing successfully, not successfully. The entrance date also came and I fared real bad. All my friends did very well in MCA, so I said, well, you are the lucky guys to going into IT. Fine. The day I was supposed to give my examination for HT University Shimla, very looking forward to the hills, going there, and so my sister normally for summer vacation, she says, what's your roll number? Well, this is your MCA results are here. You are 3rd in Punjab category. I said, what about that guy? He's 7th. What about that guy? 11th, 17th, 27th. I said, these guys did very well. Anyways, all my plans of going to Shimla were cancelled. I had to go submit my certificates. And my dad has never gone anywhere with me for any college. But he was a little apprehensive that I might come out of Khapar without submitting the certificate. So he went. I said, for my sake, let me see my Punjab University MBA results because the results were supposed to be displayed that very morning. I had cleared it, but now the certificates were there. However, before going for interview, having reasoned with my dad, he says, okay, I'm not the right guy. I'm not the right guy. But I think there is somebody who's capable. Why don't you ask him? To the best of my memory, the real serious mentor was that guy in my life. So he sent me to that person. I took a formal appointment and I said, can I come and meet you for this? He says, sure. He doesn't give time very easily. Even then and even now, he's very hard pressed for time. So I went and I said, these are the 2 options I have. He himself is an MBA. He was and is an MBA from probably world number 2 institute at that time. I don't know the ranking now. So I had this feeling in my mind that he would say that of course MBA. But in 87 he said that it's the age of specialization. MBA is something you can do later when you're more confident in your technical or professional sphere. And IT is something which is coming up, and I'm sure he says it will come out further. He says he also had the good fortune of traveling with the Texas Instruments chief on way from Europe to India. When Texas Instrument chief, they had unfortunately made up their mind to go to Bangalore instead of Chandigarh. These were the 2 final cities. So they had a good 9-hour discussion on the way. And this was in 82. Then he said in 87, he says, things are looking bright for IT. And fortunately, you are going to do IT when things are going to happen. So good. Crestfallen, very sad. I had come back and told my dad truthfully that this is what he said. When I look back, I realized that it was a very sound advice, a dispassionate advice, the first real mentorship I got. Even now, when I have any personal confusion, I think next to my dad, he's the person I always bank upon to give me that advice. It's a coincidence, a very fortunate coincidence for me that my younger sister is married to him. Mr. Dimreshwar Singh Paul, as you know, he's the managing director of British Shoes. He also happens to be art chairman of British Infotech, and I have the good fortune of being related to him as well. So that was my first real incidence of mentorship, and I realized that mentor plays a very big role in each of our lives. Then there are turning points which happen, which suddenly take you to another different trajectory in your life. MCA was good, made a lot of friends. My friendship with Puneet Vatsayan was crystallized during that time. And that is why when he became the president of TAI, he said, I am becoming the president if you are the secretary. Because there are no ego hassles. You can rely in a team. Ego hassles, understanding, teamwork is very important. There is another one thing which is important, which makes the team last the ups and downs of life. And which is also the case in our team in Rish. I'll come back on that. So, having picked up from MCA in campus recruitment in Punjab Tractors Limited. So 1-2 years as a systems guy, you are a support department. It's an EDP they call it, now IT department.
So that was in 1990?
That was in 1990. So you go to purchase and you go to marketing and inventory and R&D and whatnot. Of course, the second mentor in my life was Mr. Chandramohan, Vice Chairman of KPL at that time. I had the good fortune of doing 4 or 5 quality related projects under him. The kind of drive he had, the kind of understanding he had of all areas of business, including IT. I mean, my boss would give up, we would give up. We were the first company in North India to have local area networking that time, in 92 I'm talking about. So we had given up, how would this, so he said, I was traveling with so-and-so, it was which company I'm forgetting, DEC. And they have done it in Chicago very recently, so why can't we do it? So we ended up traveling the whole of India and we did it in 3 months. Yeah. Anyways, so having interacted with so many different departments, I also understood the business functions of an organization. Realizing that the business has to depend equally well on the orders, so marketing, on getting raw materials for that, so purchase, stocking, inventory, support functions like accounts, budgeting, so many things. So suddenly you realize that programming that you are doing day in, day out is not that important. Or if it is important, it has to make sure that all the business functions are fully automated. And that is a time, though I had decided never to study further in my life, it was a turning point. I realized that to understand the organization, probably I need to do MBA. And that is the way I could go further in my life as a professional. Again, a coincidence, Punjab University, after 5 years of break, started their executive MBA course in 92. And so 6-7 of us friends appeared for it, and I did clear it. And I think out of my entire student career, MBA was the only course which I did with a lot of interest. I missed only 3 days in entire 3 years. So that was a turning point in my life again in '92, when you realize that you need to expand your professional horizons. Very important, whenever you shift to a different thing, related or unrelated, you need to have skill. You have to arm yourself with knowledge, whether it is your colleagues, whether it is your seniors, your juniors, your books in British Library, or some professional course. I was fortunate that I could do that evening course. There were two things in MBA which have lasted me throughout these 18, 19 years. One was a subject called organizational behavior. So there is something called individual behavior and something called group behavior. So if our tempers are very short, you behave in a particular way, you expect the others to behave in the same way. It is going through that and doing exercises and projects, there you realize that no two guys are same. And when you are behaving or reacting in a certain way, there are a lot of parameters which relate to your home, your school, your friend circle, and you have your own way of behaving like that. And similarly in a group, therefore, people behave in a different way. So one single most important thing which one of my teachers shared with me, that MBA teaches you the firm conviction to go ahead, taking informed decision, being right in your own way, fully considering that others may not be wrong. In a team, others may not be wrong. So which means in a team, every opinion matters a hell of a lot when you are going ahead. Otherwise, you are always thinking, okay, I am right and the other guy is wrong. So there is a lot of difference of opinion, and you probably, there are times when whether at home or with friends, this single thing never takes you further, to any fruitful results. So this has helped me a lot in my career in the new organization that we set up. I still remember when Rich Infotech team was being put together. I subsequently joined Rich Shoes as their AGM computerization and sole manufacturing plant head to these two qualifications, MCA and MBA, helping me with both manufacturing and automation. When Mr. Paul decided that it was time for him to diversify to some organization, to different areas, IT was in the forefront and I was a logical shift. I still remember the first meeting he had before the team was formalized. We are three of us top level directors, all professionals. Majority stake being with Mr. Paul, so it's a professionally managed company and we have full-time employed directors as well. Again in a team, he mentioned that my capability might be half of your capability, generally or in particular things, or your capability might be half of mine. But as a team, each one needs to recognize that for attaining a goal, each one needs to give his best. Now my best may be only half of yours. But if we recognize that each one gives his best, there can never be a conflict. So then you equally divide the task in this way that whatever is suited to my skills, I concentrate on that because you may not do as well. That understanding has helped the team to be stable in the last 13 years. Because we do realize each other's strengths, weaknesses, capabilities, the abilities, and the honesty in each one of us that we have done our best to achieve something. I think this ability and capability understanding was also there between me and Puneet entirely since the day one. I said besides the ego hazards and all that, this is another thing which helps. And this you need to nurture. And we have tried to do so. So starting from training and medical subscription, our current organization is doing software development. medical transcription and value-added services. In software development, we do what a lot of people do, like web solution, but we have a niche area called device driver development. Anything which can be attached to the computer, you put, like printer drivers you install by printing your resumes. So we can develop that driver. Over the last few years, we realized